Hello, and welcome to the November 11th edition of Star Magazine. My name's Eric. I'll be reading you selections from this week's edition. On the cover, 5 years later, Meghan and Harry's shattered world. They left England to rule Hollywood, but every project flops, friends disappear, and power players mock them publicly. How it all went so wrong so fast. On the sidebar, Kristin Cavallari's baby daddy is arrested with a mugshot. A mother's worst nightmare. Rosie O'Donnell's daughter's drug bust. Another mugshot. And Star investigates Gone Too Soon. Who's to blame for Heath Ledger, Aaron Carter, and Liam Payne? Now, inside the magazine. Time for Star Dish, a rocky relationship. Growing up, I never really got along with her, and then she kicked me out, Chelsea has said of Rosie. The headline, Rosie's Heartbreak. Rosie O'Donnell's estranged daughter is busted for drugs and child neglect. Part of the Kids in Danger series. Tough love. Rosie O'Donnell thanked fans for their support after she opened up about her daughter Chelsea's arrest. For all the people who told me they were going through something similar with a child or spouse or a brother or a lover, thank you for making me feel less alone, the 62-year-old posted in late October. She's had a difficult relationship with the second of her 5 adopted children, noting that Chelsea has struggled with addiction for a decade. Sadly, this is not new for our family, she wrote. We are all helpful. She will find her way out of this deadly disease. Weeks earlier, the 27-year-old was booked into Wisconsin's Oconto County Jail, where she faces felony counts of possession of methamphetamine, possession of narcotic drugs, and bail jumping, plus misdemeanor counts of resisting or obstructing an officer and possession of drug paraphernalia. In September, the mom of 4 was also charged with child neglect, among other charges. She's due in court in November. According to a police report, Chelsea's home, which she shares with her boyfriend and their 11-month-old child, was disgusting, with rotten food, bloodstains, and used razor blades on the floor. Jacob Barassa, the father of Chelsea's 3 older children, has filed to modify their custody arrangement. While heartbroken, Rosie will not come to her daughter's rescue, confirms a source, adding that the former talk show host cut her off financially. Chelsea has to want help first, says the source. When she's ready to make a change, Rosie will be there for her, but she's not going to fund Chelsea's present lifestyle. Kevin Costner's getting his sexies back. Kevin Costner, down low dating, trying again. Kevin felt let down after Jewel didn't work out, says a source. Now he wants no strings fun. Kevin Costner got a little defensive when an ET reporter offered to fix him up 8 months after his divorce was finalized. Well, look, the 69-year-old insisted, I know how to meet girls if I have to. Sorry, Hoda Kotb. The reporter was offering to hook up the Yellowstone star with you. Now, a source tells Star that following the demise of his 20-year marriage to Christine Baumgartner, as well as a short-lived romance with singer Jewel, the actor is slowly getting his mojo back and is back in the dating game. He's not quite as desperately pathetic as people think, says the insider. He's been on several dates with women who are trusted and vetted by friends, and he's having some good rebound fun. The dad of 7 is not looking for anything serious, notes the insider. He learned his lesson getting too carried away like he did with Jewel. These days, it's all about keeping things light and boosting his self-esteem. His confidence took a beating, adds the source. He wants his self-respect and sexy spark back. Kristin's fears for her kids. Kristin said she hopes her ex gets the help that he needs. The end of her marriage to the QB left Kristin heartbroken, she's said. It was a mother's nightmare. On October 17th, Kristen Cavallari's ex-husband, Jay Cutler, was arrested in Tennessee for driving under the influence with 2 firearms, including a loaded pistol, in his vehicle. He was released on a $5,000 bond. She shares custody with the NFL vet, who's 41 years old, of their kids Camden, who's 12, Jackson, who is 10, and 8-year-old Saylor, who were not with their father at the time. The fact that he was arrested with a loaded firearm in the car is disturbing to her, an insider tells Star. She doesn't want her kids anywhere near guns. There were already rumblings of trouble between the exes who were wed from 2012 to 2022. Earlier in October, the Hills alum, who's 37, insinuated that she'd gained more custody of the kids. She also split from her 24-year-old boyfriend, Mark Estes, leading some to believe motherhood was her priority. She had a sense something was going on with Jay, says the insider. He needs to get his act together, and her kids need her. The Beckhams brush off Tom. Calm down, buddy. Remember when David and Victoria Beckham were desperate to make it in the U.S. social scene? Well, times have changed, with the soccer legend and designer now the gatekeepers. Sources tell Star that the pair, who own an $80 million pad in Miami Beach, are politely avoiding overtures from none other than Tom Cruise. Tom's going to be spending more time in Florida and is hitting up the Beckhams, says an insider. He doesn't have a lot of friends anymore, so he's focused on wooing them. To that end, the 62-year-old's been bombarding them and saying he can't wait to hang out, adds the insider. Posh and Becks are less than thrilled by it. They aren't blowing him off completely, says the insider. They've responded once or twice, but they're not committing to anything. In their eyes, the Mission Impossible star and devoted Scientologist is too intense for their low-key life. They think he's a little weird. He has to control every social situation, and they're not into that. More Dish. Russell's not a Gladiator 2 fan. Asked whether he'd consulted Russell about the sequel, director Ridley Scott said, "Why would I?" No need to save Russell Crowe a seat at the theater. The 60-year-old hasn't hidden his doubts about the sequel to his star-making movie 2000's Gladiator. A couple of things that I've heard, I'm like, no, that's not in the moral journey of that particular character, the New Zealander recently griped about the Ridley Scott update, which follows Paul Mescal as the grandson of former Emperor Marcus Aurelius. But as Russell pointed out, his character, Maximus, was killed at the end of the first film. You know, I can't say anything. That's not my place. I'm 6 feet under. An insider tells Star the Oscar winner is also peeved that no one reached out to him while crafting the sequel. He feels left out, says the source, adding that his passive-aggressive comments about the film have irked former friends like director Ridley Scott and Denzel Washington, who has a pivotal role in the film. More pointedly, Russell has made no effort to give his blessing to Paul Mescal. It would have been great for him to do, notes the insider, but Russell's given the entire film the cold shoulder. He could be a lot more gracious, but he's too crestfallen. Angie's risky romance. Angelina and Akala share the same social and humanitarian values, says an insider. Are they or aren't they? Angela Jolie has been spending a lot of time with British rapper and activist Akala, a.k.a. Kingsley Daly, of late. And while some reports are careful to mention that the 49-year-old is also close with Akala's partner, Chanel Newman, it was striking when the 40-year-old was recently spotted sneaking into the Oscar winner's digs at the Corinthia Hotel in London. Even more so when the pair holed up there for 2 days. Now, an insider tells Star Angelina may be hoping for more than a creative partnership. Angelina has long admired Akala for his music and political activism, notes the source. Akala is the kind of guy that would rock her world. It doesn't hurt that the rapper is super charismatic and that her 6 kids have met and like him, adds the insider. It's worth noting that Brad Pitt was married to Jennifer Aniston when he and Angelina's romance was sparked. There's no doubt Angelina is respectful of Akala's partner, says the insider, but anyone who knows Angelina knows that boundaries can be blurred. We're moving on to star couples, the latest hookups, breakups, and makeups. Just another year making it work. Justin and Jessica's anniversary let down. Jessica and Justin had high expectations for their anniversary, but they didn't have much time for themselves, claims a source. 12 years in, Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake hit a bump. Not quite in sync. Silk or fine linens are the traditional gifts to celebrate 12 years of marriage, but Justin Timberlake and Jessica Biel would have settled for an intimate night out. The pop star, who's 43, gave his wife an anniversary shout-out during his October 4th concert in Montreal, while Jessica, who's 42, blew kisses to him from offstage. Despite the lovey gestures, however, a source says the duo, parents to sons Silas 9 and Phineas 4, are in the midst of a rough patch, and that their anniversary celebration wasn't all champagne and roses. Though Jessica made the trip to be with her husband for the anniversary of their nuptials in Puglia, Italy, the couple were hardly alone. She had to share him with thousands of fans, says the source, and when Justin wrapped for the night, they were still surrounded by people backstage. It wasn't very romantic. The source explains that after Jessica forgave Justin for his public drunken flirtation with Palmer co-star Alicia Wainwright in 2019, his DWI arrest in June re-upped the tension between them, and it hasn't fully been resolved. Justin has more work to do to heal their relationship before they can get back to what they once had, explains the source, adding that the Crimea River singer feels a lot of guilt. He knows trust takes a lot of time to rebuild, but it's frustrating for him all the same. And Dave and Jordan reach a crossroads. An insider says Dave wants to save the marriage and will have to pony up a small fortune if he ends up divorced. Where will they go from here? In the wake of Dave Grohl's admission that he fathered a child outside of his 21-year marriage to Jordan Bloom, an insider says the rocker's spurned wife, who's 48, is still uncertain about her future with the Foo Fighters frontman. She wants to make the marriage work, but she doesn't trust Dave. She's torn, reveals the insider, adding that Jordan's friends are pressuring her to divorce the 55-year-old. Jordan doesn't want to be impetuous or emotional about this, says the source of the mom of 3 daughters, Violet, 18, Ophelia, 15, and Harper, who's 10. She doesn't want to break up her family, but her marriage is broken, and she's not sure if it's repairable. Making things complicated for Dave, notes the source, is the pair's lack of a prenup. If there's no forgiving him, he'll be on the hook for hundreds of millions, given that he's worth $300 million, continues the insider. Dave and Jordan are stuck at an intersection. She's just hoping the right decision will present itself in time. Andrew is still hung up on Emma. Andrew Garfield is haunted by guilt and regret over the 2015 end of his 4-year relationship with Emma Stone, especially after the end of his recent romance with Kate Thomas. He's convinced he let the love of his life slip through his fingers, says a source, but Emma is now married to Dave McCary and has a daughter, so Andrew is just stuck with his memories. Yet both have previously stated their enduring feelings for each other. In 2015, Emma, who's 35, called her ex someone I still love very much, while the 41-year-old returned the sentiment in 2017, gushing, "There's so much love between us." Hence the problem, says the source. Friends say Andrew will never find the right girl if he keeps moping about the past. Victoria, desperate to be Mrs. DiCaprio. Will Victoria make Leo the marrying kind after all? Can she get him down the aisle? Vittoria Soretti is determined to become the first Mrs. Leonardo DiCaprio by embracing his weird hobbies. The 26-year-old is trying to show she's very invested in getting to know and love him on every level, says a source. Take dinosaurs, for example. Leo, who's 49, has always been obsessed with them. He even collects fossils at home, notes the source, adding that Victoria has studied up on the subject. She's also made an effort to learn about all his favorite comic book characters. The Titanic star, of course, has dated a slew of much younger supermodels, who he seems to dump when they age out. It's unclear whether the Italian beauty will be different. She has impressed Leo, allows the source. Whether that translates to a ring remains to be seen. From the cover, a chilly farewell. It looked cold, but it also felt cold, Harry said of his last official royal outing before moving to America at London's Westminster Abbey in March of 2020. Meghan and Harry, 5 years later, how it all went wrong. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex thought they could have it all when they fled the UK for America, but that's hardly what happened. Done deal. I have no regrets at all, Harry has said of his decision to leave Britain and the royal family with Meghan by his side nearly 5 years ago. I have no doubt my mum would be incredibly proud of me. Prince Harry was living the California dream. In an October 16th Instagram video, the 40-year-old stood atop a surfboard at champion athlete Kelly Slater's surf ranch in Lemoore, California. The inland facility, which also offers guests luxury accommodations and farm-to-table cuisine and costs from $5,000, was reportedly a birthday gift from wife Meghan Markle, who's 43. But while Harry's form was good, many reactions were not. One online commenter branded the conservation activist Prince environmentally tone-deaf in water-strapped California. Yet another lamented, once again, they're out of touch with reality and the public. It was another Sussex wobble. 5 years ago, support for Harry and his American bride was high. More than 1.9 billion people had watched their 2018 wedding, and the public cheered the birth of their first child, Prince Archie, a year later. Daughter Lilibet came along in 2021. Their decision to step back as senior royals and move to America to protect themselves and their young family from the hidebound monarchy garnered them worldwide sympathy. But in the years since, filled with botched deals, tell-all books, and scathing interviews about the royal family, that support has waned, leaving some wondering what went wrong. Harry and Meghan seem to have unrealistic goals from the beginning, an insider tells Star. They believed they could have the best of both worlds. A rebellious move. In November of 2019, amid growing scrutiny and attacks on Meghan in the UK press and worsening private tensions within the royal family, the Sussexes began a 6-week break in Canada where they hoped to regroup. It was the beginning of the end of their working and personal relationships with his family, including the late Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles III, Prince William, and Princess Kate. In that first year, they moved to Meghan's native California and bought a $14.65 million home in the celebrity enclave of Montecito. A $20 million deal with Spotify and $100 million Netflix deal followed. Harry didn't look backward, says the source. From the start, he and Meghan traded on their royal connections to earn their keep. Their bombshell 2021 CBS interview teased claims that the palace was harboring a royal racist and that Kate had made Meghan cry in the run-up to her wedding. Unflattering royal anecdotes made his 2023 tell-all memoir, Spare, a bestseller. Harry seemed to give no thought to the consequences of their actions, says the insider. In 2022, he admitted, "I've lost a few friends in this process." Meghan also had trouble keeping friends, dumping one-time bestie Jessica Mulroney after the stylist was called out for allegedly racist behavior. As for the former Suits star's old castmates, she seemed to have outgrown them. "We don't have her number," her on-screen boss Gina Torres admitted earlier this year. Unfulfilled promise. Their bid to be Hollywood players never panned out. Meghan's first outing for Spotify, 2022's 12-episode Archetypes was initially a success, winning a People's Choice Award. But nothing else followed. Spotify executive and sportscaster Bill Simmons groused that the couple were grifters who had no idea what they were doing. Their non-royal Netflix projects like Live to Lead, featuring interviews with notable figures around the world, and the children's series Pearl, which was canceled in development, also disappointed. Meanwhile, their Archewell Foundation faced scrutiny for questionable finances and ongoing staff turnover. Meghan was called a dictator in heels. More recently, their quasi-royal tours of Nigeria and Colombia raised eyebrows as to their purpose, and Meghan's American Riviera Orchard brand became the butt of jokes. Her lifestyle TV show is still in the works, and his series on polo is out in December. A bad reputation. Tina Brown, the former editor of Vanity Fair, blames the failures on the California-born Duchess. She has the worst judgment of anyone in the entire world, the royal expert said on the Ankler podcast October 20th. She is flawless about getting it all wrong. Her issue is that she doesn't listen. She has all these people, asks them their opinions, and then doesn't follow it. She does what she wants to do. She's kinder to Harry, suggesting that he might be better off out shaking hands at public appearances rather than building a media empire, which is exactly the life he left behind. The thing about Harry is he's very good at being Prince Harry, Tina said. And that's the tragedy of all of this, is that he's the most talented member of the royal family, without doubt, in terms of being a prince, which is all he does know how to do. The problem is that he's pretty much in the thrall of Meghan, Tina explained, branding him the lamb to the slaughter in this situation. He was terribly impressed by Meghan. He thought that she knew all, and she persuaded him that she was the savvy Hollywood wheeler-dealer who could come in and make them stars and all the rest of it. And he just sort of blindly followed her, like a child, really. Not done yet. Harry and Meghan haven't given up. In recent weeks, they've had some success splitting up, with Harry embarking on a wildly popular trip that saw him supporting his patronages and philanthropic initiatives in New York City, London, and Lesotho, without Meghan by his side. They've also made some interesting moves, like buying a reported $4.7 million soon-to-be-constructed home in Portugal's Costa Terra Golf and Ocean Club development. Harry's cousin, Princess Eugenie, and her husband live nearby. The purchase could offer them a path to European Union citizenship, and then allow them to travel freely around 29 countries. If all else fails, adds the source, it may be part of a larger plan to work themselves back into the royal fold somehow. Their great escape. For their final round of royal engagements in 2020, after announcing plans to step back from official duties, Meghan dressed in bold hues. Until that last week in the UK, I rarely wore color. I never wanted to upstage or ruffle any feathers, so I just tried to blend in, she explained. Telling all. In their 2022 Netflix docuseries, Harry and Meghan, the couple criticized the palace's and the British press's treatment of Meghan. Weeks later, in 2023, Harry aired more royal dirty laundry in his memoir, Spare, which was released in paperback October 22nd. Iced out. Senior royals snubbed Harry and Meghan when they returned to the UK for the Queen's 2022 funeral. Harry remains estranged from Charles, who declined to meet with his son in London in May. William reportedly ignored Harry at their uncle's funeral in August. Charles's sad royal tour. As Charles, who's 75 years old, and Queen Camilla, who's 77, wrapped up their royal tour of Australia on October 22nd, thousands of people lined the streets of Sydney to see them. But their trip hardly went to plan. As more Commonwealth countries' citizens question whether having Britain's sovereign as their head of state makes sense in a modern world, Charles, who put his cancer treatment on hold so he could make the trip down under, faced a controversy-plagued reception. Lydia Thorpe, an Indigenous senator and Aboriginal rights activist, heckled him after he addressed Australia's Parliament in Canberra on October 21st. She accused the Crown's colonizers of committing genocide. "You are not our king," she shouted. "Give us our land back. Give us what you stole from us." Though Charles appeared unruffled, the ailing king has privately acknowledged there's a lot at stake, an insider tells Star. This trip marked the first visit to Australia by a reigning monarch in 13 years, but the feeling is it may be Charles's last tour. He's determined to bolster the monarchy before William takes over. In our final story, another day, another run-in between exes Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. Star reveals how they really feel about seeing each other face-to-face on the regular. A cringy get-together. Ben and Jen exhibited strained body language when they brought their kids together for lunch on September 14th in L.A. Jen gets nervous when she knows she's going to see Ben, says a source. It's getting awkward. Not again. On October 18th, Ben Affleck arrived at his children's Los Angeles school for an evening event with his 15-year-old child, Finn. Looking like the ideal co-parents, he and ex-Jennifer Garner walked in as a family. On the same night, however, Ben's second ex-wife, Jennifer Lopez, was also in attendance alongside 16-year-old Emmy, her child with ex Mark Anthony. That reunion, or non-reunion, the two groups stayed separate, was icier. Ben knows he's going to see Jen at these functions. Their kids go to the same school, so how could he not, a source tells Star. Still, it's awkward. The run-in was one of several the former couple have had in the 2 months since Jen filed for divorce after 2 years of marriage. In mid-September, they brunched together at the Beverly Hills Hotel with Finn, as well as Ben's son Samuel, who's 12, and Em's twin brother Max. Their children became close while Ben and Jen were married. Just 3 days after that, Ben, who's 52, and Jen, 55, were both at their kids' back-to-school night. Like many divorced couples, the Argo director and the Shotgun Wedding actress keeps finding themselves thrust into situations together, like it or not. Ben would rather not see Jen, but the kids come first, says the source. He can't be selfish. J-Lo says she's focused on moving on. In a recent sit-down with Interview magazine, she opened up about making peace with her painful split from the man of her dreams. "It was like my whole world exploded," she said of the breakup, adding that the experience forced her to face her fears of being alone. "You have to be complete if you want something that's more complete," she explained. The singer shared that her wisdom was hard-won. "You have to be good on your own," she explained, adding that it took a solo summer of self-exploration for her to prove to herself that after the demise of her 5th marriage, she was content to being alone. "Being in a relationship doesn't define me. I can't be looking for happiness in other people. What if I'm just free?" Yet, as Star has previously reported, J-Lo has been enjoying a few rebound flings, and the insider says this is not where she saw herself at 55. Constantly running into her ex, especially looking so happy with his confidant Jen Garner, is a cruel reminder of that. For Ben, the contrast between J-Lo and Jen G, also mommed a Violet at 18, couldn't be more stark. She's a stabilizing influence, and she's been a huge support throughout his split, says the insider. They're the best of friends. There's no awkwardness between them. Jen's been a rock through his struggles with sobriety, even driving him to rehab after their split. J-Lo, on the other hand, with whom he shares no kids, has less of a hold on him moving forward. Not that that's what the "this is me now" star is hoping for. She'd like to be closer, adds the source, but as far as Ben's concerned, it's better for them to keep separate lives as much as possible. There's only so much they can do to avoid each other for now. It's not like they're going to pull their kids out of school, says the source. Their upcoming film project, Unstoppable, which is produced by Ben and it stars Jen, is due out in early December, and it may also force them to spend more time together. They're making the best of a tricky situation. Ben and Jen are resigned to keeping things as is, says the insider. The hope is it'll get easier as time goes by. And with that, we've come to the end of our reading of Star Magazine for November 11th. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other. Remember our veterans, especially those we've lost recently. Bye for now.